Discussion on verses 1 to 60 of 60. The opening verses of this chapter have been explained in various ways. Many scholars understand them as referring to the winds that Allah, the Exalted, employs for countless purposes. They scatter seeds for pollination, carry clouds across vast distances, and distribute rain with precision and balance across the earth. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 1 to 4.
By those scattering, dispersing, and those carrying a load, and those moving with ease, and those apportioning a matter.
Regardless of how these opening verses are interpreted, their central message is unmistakable. They direct the human mind to the finely tuned, flawlessly coordinated systems that operate throughout the natural world. Every gust of wind, every drifting cloud, every drop of rain, and every natural cycle unfolds with precision, balance, and purpose. Such harmony cannot emerge from randomness. It points decisively to the oneness of Allah, the Exalted, the sole creator, sustainer, and governor of all existence. Yet, within this world of perfect balance, one striking exception stands out: the actions of human beings. In the natural order, everything functions according to the laws set by Allah, the Exalted, but human behavior often departs from this harmony. One sees tyrants and oppressors who seem to escape justice, while countless individuals endure hardship, persecution, and loss without receiving their due reward. Many people who sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, face trials and difficulties, while those who openly disobey Him may enjoy comfort and prosperity. Just as Allah, the Exalted, has established balance in the physical world, justice must also be balanced in the moral realm. But this balance is clearly not achieved in this life. Therefore, it must occur at another time, on the Day of Judgment, when every deed will be weighed with absolute fairness. Allah, the Exalted, could choose to reward or punish fully in this world, but His wisdom dictates otherwise. He grants people repeated opportunities to repent, reform, and return to Him. He withholds complete reward from the righteous, because this world is not meant to be paradise. Moreover, belief in the unseen, particularly the unseen reward awaiting the faithful, is a defining feature of true faith. If full recompense were visible and immediate, belief would lose its depth and distinction. Fear of ultimate accountability and hope for eternal reward motivate a person to avoid sin and pursue righteous deeds. These two forces, fear and hope, form the wings of faith, keeping a person balanced and steadfast. For the day of recompense to occur, this worldly life must come to an end. Reward and punishment can only be administered once all actions have ceased. As long as people continue to act, the final judgment cannot begin. This reality confirms that the material world is temporary and will inevitably reach its conclusion. Chapter 45, Al-Jatiyah, verse 22.
For Allah created the heavens and the earth for a purpose, so that every soul may be paid back for what it has committed, and none will be wronged.
And chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 5 to 6.
Indeed, what you are promised is true, and indeed, the recompense is to occur.
Reflecting on these truths strengthens one's conviction in the Day of Judgment. This conviction, in turn, inspires a person to prepare for it by using their blessings in the manner prescribed by Allah, the Exalted, and taught by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through this preparation, a person attains peace of mind, stability in both mental and physical states, and the ability to place every matter and every relationship in its rightful place. Such a life leads to success in this world and salvation in the next. Allah, the Exalted, invites people to reflect further upon the sky and the countless pathways that exist within it. These pathways are traversed by birds, insects, clouds, and other creatures, each moving with precision and purpose. In modern times, this reflection extends even further, as human beings have learned to travel through the sky using aircraft. The sky has been created with an extraordinary balance of forces: air pressure, gravity, atmospheric layers, and wind currents, all working together in perfect harmony to allow safe movement through it. Even a slight alteration in these forces would make flight impossible, causing chaos rather than order. This remarkable precision points clearly to deliberate design, wisdom, and control. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 7.
By the sky containing pathways.
This verse highlights that the sky is not a random or empty space, but a structured realm filled with ordered routes and systems, all operating according to divine command. These pathways are invisible to the naked eye, yet their effects are constantly observed. Birds migrate across vast distances without error, weather systems follow set patterns, and aircraft travel safely across continents, relying on stable atmospheric laws that never fail. Such consistency reflects the perfection of the One who created and sustains these systems. Allah, the Exalted, then draws a powerful comparison between the ordered pathways of the sky and the fragmented pathways of human belief, speech, and behavior. Just as the sky contains countless routes, people follow countless ideological and moral paths, each leading to different outcomes. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 8.
Indeed, you are in differing speech.
This verse highlights the inconsistency, contradiction, and confusion found within human claims, beliefs, and actions. Unlike the sky, which operates in perfect harmony and obedience to divine laws, people often adopt conflicting viewpoints, speak inconsistently, and act contrary to truth, sometimes even contradicting their own claims of belief. Their words shift with desire, convenience, and social pressure, rather than remaining firmly grounded in divine guidance. Through this comparison, Allah, the Exalted, subtly teaches that while creation follows a single balanced system that enables stability and benefit, human beings have divided themselves into numerous conflicting paths due to ego, desire, and heedlessness. The sky fulfills its role without deviation, whereas people are tested with choice, and many choose contradiction over consistency. This reflection urges people to realign themselves with the same obedience and harmony found within creation. Just as the sky submits perfectly to the laws set by Allah, the Exalted, human beings can only achieve stability, clarity, and peace by submitting to divine guidance. When beliefs, speech, and actions are aligned with the truth revealed by Allah, the Exalted, confusion is replaced with purpose, and contradiction is replaced with coherence. Obeying Allah, the Exalted, in the same harmonious way that the rest of creation submits to Him, often conflicts with the desires and ambitions that people chase in this world. Because of this, many persist in disobedience, choosing their impulses over divine guidance. When a person follows this path, their inner world becomes disordered. Their mental and physical states lose balance, and they begin to misplace priorities, relationships, and responsibilities. Even if they enjoy certain worldly comforts, their life becomes marked by anxiety, instability, and inner turmoil. More seriously, this attitude prevents them from preparing for their ultimate accountability on Judgment Day. The one who refuses to discipline their desires now will face consequences in the hereafter that are far more severe than any hardship they avoided in this life. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 9.
Deluded away from it, the recompense is he who is deluded.
This verse describes the person who turns away from the truth, deceived by worldly attractions and blinded by their own desires. They ignore the warnings, neglect the signs, and fail to recognize the certainty of the final reckoning. Their delusion leads them away from guidance in this world and toward regret in the next. When a person allows worldly desires to dominate their heart, they lose the ability to act with clarity, restraint, and sound judgment. Their physical senses, hearing, sight, and intellect remain intact, yet spiritually and morally these faculties cease to function. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 10 to 11.
Destroyed are the falsifiers, who are within a flood of confusion and heedless.
Instead of using their senses to recognize truth, consider consequences, and regulate their behavior, the person becomes driven by a relentless urge to satisfy their cravings. Desire becomes the ruler, and the person becomes its captive. This condition resembles the experience of a drug addict. No addict begins with the intention of surrendering control, yet once addiction takes hold, it overwhelms reason. The addict may lie, steal, or harm others, not because they are unaware of the consequences, but because the craving has become stronger than their moral compass. Their addiction blinds them to the destruction they cause to themselves and those around them. Unrestrained worldly desires, whether for wealth, status, pleasure, or recognition, can produce the same spiritual addiction. A desire that is not checked gradually intensifies until it becomes an obsession of the heart. At that point, a person begins to justify harmful behavior, ignore moral boundaries, and overlook the long-term consequences of their actions. They may sacrifice their health, relationships, and inner peace in pursuit of something that can never truly satisfy them. Their ears no longer absorb beneficial reminders, their eyes no longer recognize signs, and their intellect no longer guides them toward what is right. For this reason, Islamic teachings emphasize controlling desire rather than eliminating it. Desire is part of human nature, but when pursued without restraint, it distorts perception and leads to moral decay. A person who allows their desires to dominate inevitably falls into harmful actions and experiences deep imbalance. Stress, anxiety, restlessness, and dissatisfaction become constant companions, because the heart was never created to find tranquility in unchecked indulgence. By contrast, when a person disciplines their desires and seeks only what is lawful, and even then in moderation, their senses remain sharp, their judgment remains sound, and their heart remains tranquil. They use their hearing, sight, and intellect as intended, to recognize truth, reflect on consequences, and live with purpose. This balanced approach protects them from the destructive cycle of addiction, whether to substances, wealth, status, or any other worldly pursuit. Ultimately, the real danger is not desire itself, but the absence of discipline. When desires rule the heart, a person becomes blind to guidance. When discipline governs the heart, desires fall into their rightful place, and the person is able to use their blessings in a way that brings clarity, stability, and lasting peace, achieving a balanced mental and physical state, and placing everything and everyone in their proper position in life. The leaders of the non-Muslims in Mecca, much like the rebellious communities before them, used a range of tactics to prevent others from embracing Islam. Their resistance was driven largely by fear of losing authority, fear of losing social influence, and fear of losing the privileges that came with their leadership. One of their strategies was to demand precise information about the timing of the Day of Judgment. When they were not given a specific date, they mockingly claimed that this proved the day would never occur. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 12.
They sarcastically ask, when is the day of recompense?
Their reasoning was deeply flawed. Not knowing the exact moment of an event does not mean the event will never take place. People do not know the hour of their death, yet no one doubts that death is inevitable. Allah, the Exalted, has concealed the timing of certain realities, such as death and the Day of Judgment, so that people remain constantly prepared rather than delaying repentance and reform until the final moment. A proactive mindset leads to success, whereas a reactive one often leads to regret. This principle is illustrated through a simple example. A diligent student who knows that a surprise test may occur at any time will study consistently. But if the student is told the exact date of the test, complacency may lead them to postpone preparation until it is too late. Their chances of success diminish because they relied on the comfort of knowing the deadline. Chapter 7, Al-Araf, verse 187.
It lays heavily upon the heavens and the earth. It will not come upon you except unexpectedly.
These verses also address another misguided attitude, the claim that one will not accept or practice Islamic teachings until every unseen reality, such as angels, is made visible and fully comprehensible. This perspective undermines the very essence of faith. True belief carries value precisely because it involves affirming certain unseen truths without perceiving them through the five senses. A person does not need to see Allah, the Exalted, to believe in Him, just as they do not need to see the wind to feel its effects. The unseen is not without evidence. The signs of Allah, the Exalted, fill the heavens and the earth. Just as a painting proves the existence of a painter, the order, beauty, and precision of creation point unmistakably to a creator. Moreover, people rely on countless unseen realities in their daily lives without hesitation. Many take medicine without understanding how it works within the body, yet they trust its effects. Islam's moral and ethical framework is built upon reason, reflection, and observable signs, but it also includes elements of the unseen, elements that elevate the value of faith. If a person only believed after seeing angels with their own eyes, their belief would carry no distinction. The true test of life lies in accepting reality, even when it cannot be directly perceived, and in obeying Allah, the Exalted, despite having the freedom to disobey. Throughout history, Allah, the Exalted, has sent holy prophets, peace be upon them, and revealed scriptures in a manner that allows room for human judgment, sincerity, and choice. He has never unveiled the full reality of the unseen in a way that would compel belief. If he had done so, there would be no test, no moral responsibility, and no meaningful distinction between success and failure. Therefore, people should not expect the unseen to be revealed to them in this world. If Allah, the Exalted, and His angels were to appear openly before humanity, the test would end instantly. Faith and obedience would lose their value, because even the most stubborn rejectors would be forced to submit. The veil over the unseen is what gives faith its meaning. Once that veil is lifted, the time for choice ends. The moment when all realities become fully visible is the day of judgment, the day when the test concludes, decisions are sealed, and every soul faces the consequences of what it sent forth. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 13 to 14.
It is the day they will be tormented over the fire, and will be told, taste your torment. This is that for which you were impatient.
In contrast to those who ignore their accountability, those who accept it and actively prepare for it by using their blessings correctly will find peace in both worlds. By aligning their actions with divine guidance, they achieve a balanced mental and physical state and place every aspect of their life in its proper position. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 15 to 16.
Indeed, the righteous will be among gardens and springs, accepting what their Lord has given them. Indeed, they were before that doers of good.
These verses, and the verses that follow, highlight a fundamental truth: faith must be supported by action. A verbal claim of belief, when unaccompanied by righteous deeds, carries little weight in Islam. In this world, a person is recognized as a believer based on their verbal declaration, because human beings can only judge what is outward. But in the hereafter, Allah, the Exalted, will judge each soul according to its inner reality, something hidden from all but Him. For this reason, someone who professes belief in Allah, the Exalted, and in the Day of Judgment, yet fails to act upon that belief, may in fact possess no real faith in their heart. Such a person may be treated as a believer by worldly law, but on the Day of Judgment they may be counted among those who had no faith at all. Their outward words will not save them if their inward state contradicts them. Furthermore, a person who does not reinforce their verbal declaration of faith with good deeds places themselves in grave spiritual danger. Faith is not static, it grows or diminishes depending on one's actions. It resembles a living plant that requires nourishment. Just as a plant deprived of sunlight and water eventually withers, faith deprived of obedience and righteous deeds weakens and may die altogether. This is one of the greatest possible losses a person can experience. Good deeds, therefore, are not merely an optional enhancement to faith, they are its lifeline. They protect the heart, strengthen conviction, and ensure that faith remains alive until the moment of death. Without them, a person risks losing the very treasure that determines their eternal outcome. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 16 to 18.
Indeed, they were before that doers of good. They used to sleep but little of the night, and in the hours before dawn they would ask forgiveness.
Voluntary night worship is one of the strongest indicators of a person's sincerity toward Allah, the Exalted. It is performed in solitude, away from the eyes of people, at a time when the world is silent and distractions fade. In those hours, a person stands before their Lord in private devotion, speaking to Him with humility and longing. This prayer is a mark of true servanthood, and its virtues are immense. A hadith recorded in Sunan and Nasai, number 1614, describes it as the greatest of all voluntary prayers. No human being will ever attain a higher rank on the Day of Judgment or in paradise than the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. His elevated station is directly connected to the voluntary night prayer, showing that those who establish this prayer will be granted honor and distinction in both worlds. Chapter 17, Al-Isra, verse 79.
And from part of the night pray with it, i.e. recitation of the Quran as additional worship for you. It is expected that your Lord will resurrect you to a praise station.
A hadith in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3579, teaches that a person is closest to Allah, the Exalted, during the final portion of the night. Remembering Allah, the Exalted, at this time opens the door to blessings that cannot be counted. Every person hopes that their supplications will be answered and their needs fulfilled. For this reason, they should strive to offer the night prayer, as a hadith in Sahih Muslim, number 1770, mentions that there is a special hour in every night during which sincere supplications are always accepted. The night prayer also serves as a powerful protection. It helps a person avoid sin, distances them from pointless social gatherings, and shields them from many physical ailments. This is mentioned in a hadith found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3549. To make the night prayer easier, a person should avoid heavy eating or drinking before sleep, as this leads to sluggishness. They should also avoid exhausting themselves unnecessarily during the day. A short nap can help restore energy. Most importantly, they should avoid sin and strive to obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, avoiding His prohibitions, and meeting destiny with patience according to the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Those who live obediently find it far easier to rise for the night prayer. Allah, the Exalted, then clarifies that He does not require flawless perfection from His creation. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 18.
And in the hours before dawn they would ask forgiveness.
This verse highlights a profound truth. Allah, the Exalted, does not expect people to live without mistakes. What He desires is a life defined by sincere effort, using the blessings He has granted in the manner taught by Islam, striving to obey Him within one's capacity, and returning to Him in repentance whenever a lapse occurs. The real danger is not in committing a sin, but in persisting in it without regret, without reflection, and without seeking forgiveness. When a person adopts a mindset of continual striving and regular repentance, Allah, the Exalted, opens the doors of mercy, forgiveness, and inner calm. Such individuals experience a deep sense of peace in this world, because they live with self-awareness, humility, and a heart that consistently turns back to its Lord. And they carry with them a hopeful expectation of salvation in the next life, knowing that they have lived sincerely, even if imperfectly. Those who strengthen their faith in Allah, the Exalted, through consistent action, do not merely fulfill the rights owed to Him, such as the obligatory prayers, they also honor the rights of His creation. Their faith manifests in generosity, compassion, and social responsibility. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 19.
And from their properties was given the right of the needy petitioner and the deprived.
Islam is a comprehensive way of life, and for this reason Allah, the Exalted, frequently links worldly matters, such as inheritance, trade, marriage, and social conduct, to His obedience throughout the Holy Quran. A person must recognize that Islamic teachings apply to every circumstance they encounter, whether worldly or religious, public or private, major or minor. Nothing in life falls outside the scope of divine guidance. Therefore, one must avoid the mistaken belief that Allah, the Exalted, is concerned only with ritual worship, while worldly matters are left to personal preference. On the Day of Judgment, every situation a person faced, whether related to worship, family, wealth, speech, or behavior, will be examined. For this reason, a person must learn and apply Islamic teachings so that their conduct remains correct in every moment of life. Living in this manner produces harmony within the self. It leads to a balanced mental and physical state, clarity of priorities, and the ability to place everything and everyone in their proper place. Such a life prepares a person for their ultimate accountability, and brings tranquility in both worlds. A person must therefore avoid treating Islam like a garment that is worn or removed according to convenience. Someone who behaves in this selective manner is not truly following divine guidance. They are following their desires, even if they claim otherwise. Chapter 25, Al-Furqan, verse 43.
Have you seen the one who takes as his God his own desire?
Whoever refuses to apply Islamic teachings consistently will inevitably misuse the blessings they have been given. This misuse leads to internal imbalance, confusion in priorities, and a failure to prepare for the Day of Judgment. Even if such a person enjoys certain worldly comforts, their life becomes marked by stress, instability, and hardship in both worlds. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 19.
And from their properties was given the right of the needy petitioner and the deprived.
Another important point in this verse is that helping others is described as a right owed to them. This means a person must never imagine that they are doing Allah, the Exalted, or His creation, a favor when they assist someone in need. The needy are not receiving charity out of generosity. They are receiving what Allah, the Exalted, has made rightfully theirs. This understanding becomes clearer when one remembers that every resource a person possesses, wealth, influence, skills, or opportunities, has been entrusted to them by Allah, the Exalted, as a loan rather than a personal achievement or permanent gift. A loan must be returned to its true owner. The way a person repays this divine loan is by using their blessings in ways that please Allah, the Exalted. Therefore, when someone helps the needy, they are not doing something extraordinary. They are simply repaying part of the debt they owe to Allah, the Exalted. Keeping this perspective prevents arrogance, self-importance, and the destructive attitude of believing that one is doing others a favor. In reality, it is Allah, the Exalted, who has favored the giver. He granted them wealth in the first place, and then honored them with the opportunity to earn immense reward by assisting someone in need. The needy person, by accepting help, becomes a means through which the donor gains spiritual benefit. If every needy person refused assistance, how would anyone attain the rewards promised in divine teachings? Remembering these truths protects a person from spoiling their good deeds through pride or condescension. It cultivates humility, gratitude, and sincerity, qualities that preserve and multiply the reward of every act of generosity. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verse 19.
And from their properties was given the right of the needy petitioner and the deprived.
A person must make a conscious effort to support those who are socially vulnerable, such as orphans and widows, according to whatever means Allah, the Exalted, has granted them. In our time, sponsoring an orphan or widow has become remarkably simple, often requiring only a few minutes online, and the cost is usually less than what many people spend on their monthly phone bill. For this reason, no one should neglect this essential aspect of Islamic practice, as it brings the continuous support of Allah, the Exalted, in both this world and the next. This is affirmed in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 6853. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, further emphasized the honor of this act. He stated that the one who cares for an orphan will be granted closeness to him in paradise, as mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, number 6005. In another hadith, he explained that caring for the needy, such as a widow, earns a reward equal to that of someone who prays throughout the night and fasts every day. This is recorded in Sahih Bukhari, number 6006. These hadiths offer a profound opportunity. Those who struggle with voluntary acts of worship, such as night prayers or additional fasts, can still attain immense reward by caring for the vulnerable. Supporting the needy becomes a path to spiritual elevation that requires minimal effort, yet yields extraordinary benefit. Aiding the needy, however, is not limited to financial assistance. It includes fulfilling any lawful need a person may have: emotional support, physical help, guidance, companionship, or protection. Therefore, no person, regardless of how little wealth they possess, is exempt from helping others. Every individual has something to offer, whether it is time, kindness, advice, or material assistance. Allah, the Exalted, then encourages people to reflect on countless signs within the earth which indicate His oneness and how He alone must be obeyed, in order to strengthen one's resolve in obeying Him. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verse 20.
And on the earth are signs for those who make sound judgments, rooted in knowledge.
When a person reflects on the creation of the heavens and the earth, and on the countless finely tuned systems that sustain life, it becomes unmistakably clear that the universe has a single creator and sustainer. Consider, for example, the precise distance between the sun and the earth. If the sun were even slightly closer, the planet would burn. If it were slightly farther, it would freeze. Life could not exist under either condition. Likewise, the Earth's atmosphere has been formed with the perfect composition and balance needed for life to flourish. These are not random coincidences. They are deliberate signs pointing to the wisdom and power of Allah, the Exalted. Even when constructing a simple building, careful planning is required. Pillars must be placed strategically, materials must be chosen wisely, and every detail must be considered to ensure the structure is safe and stable. If such planning is essential for a basic human construction, how could anyone claim that the heavens and the earth, far more complex and magnificent, came into existence by accident? If they were the result of chance, their structure would be flawed and unstable. Yet what we observe is perfection, harmony, and precision. This clearly reflects the deliberate design of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 13 Ar-Ra'd verse 2.
It is Allah who erected the heavens without pillars that you can see.
The sun's movement ensures that the earth receives a balanced alternation of light and darkness. The length of days and nights varies throughout the year in a way that benefits human life. If days were significantly longer, people would become exhausted from extended hours of activity. If nights were excessively long, there would be insufficient time for work, learning, and other essential pursuits. If nights were too short, people would not get the rest needed for good health. These changes would also disrupt agriculture, harming both humans and animals. The perfect rhythm of day and night, along with countless other balanced systems in the universe, demonstrates the oneness of Allah, the Exalted. If multiple gods existed, each with different wills, the universe would fall into chaos. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 22.
Had there been within them, i.e., the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined.
The moon also plays a vital role in this balance. By reflecting sunlight, it provides illumination at night, guiding travelers across deserts and oceans, journeys that remain essential for transporting goods even today. Its phases regulate the tides of seas and oceans, and any disruption in these tides would cause severe environmental damage. Together, the sun and moon allow people to measure time accurately, which is essential for organizing life on Earth. Their precise placement and harmonious function within the solar system are undeniable signs of a creator's design. The structure of the Earth has been fashioned with remarkable balance and precision. Its land is firm enough to support buildings, agriculture, and human settlement, yet fertile and adaptable enough to sustain crops and vegetation. When one surveys the planet's diverse landscapes, the variation in altitude becomes immediately apparent. Regions situated at extremely high elevations are difficult to inhabit due to the challenges of access and the reduced oxygen levels. Yet the overwhelming majority of the Earth's surface lies at elevations ideal for human life, agriculture, and travel. Similarly, while certain areas of the world are naturally inaccessible, due to mountains, dense forests, or rugged terrain, most of the Earth has been shaped in a way that allows people to move across it with relative ease. This accessibility enables the extraction and use of essential resources. In fact, the Earth has been designed so that the more vital a resource is for human survival, the more readily available it tends to be. These features, along with countless others, cannot be attributed to chance. They point clearly to the deliberate design of a creator. The winds play an indispensable role in sustaining life on Earth. Through wind-driven pollination, countless crops, plants, and trees are able to reproduce and flourish. Without this natural process, global food production would collapse. Historically, winds were also vital for sea travel, powering the ships that carried people and goods across vast oceans. Even today, maritime transport remains the primary method for moving goods around the world, and the early reliance on wind laid the foundation for global trade. Winds also serve as the unseen carriers of mercy, driving rain-bearing clouds to the regions where water is needed. Without this movement, rain would not reach the lands that depend on it, and life would not survive. The Earth displays a perfectly calibrated system of winds. Too little wind would disrupt pollination, rainfall distribution, and global temperatures. Too much wind would bring destruction, instability, and hardship. The balance we observe, neither excessive nor deficient, is yet another sign of the precise design and wisdom of Allah, the Exalted. Evolution, at its core, is a process of mutation, an inherently imperfect and unpredictable mechanism. Yet when one examines the astonishing variety of species on Earth, each precisely suited to its environment, it becomes evident that such harmony and balance cannot arise from random, unguided change. Every creature displays features that are not merely functional, but perfectly calibrated for its survival. Take the camel as an example. It is equipped to endure scorching temperatures, travel long distances, and survive extended periods without water. Its body, behavior, and physiology are all tailored for desert life. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verse 17.
Then do they not look at the camels, how they are created?
Similarly, the goat demonstrates another sign of perfect creation. Within its body, impurities are completely separated from the milk it produces. If this separation were imperfect, the milk would be contaminated and undrinkable. Yet Allah, the Exalted, has created a system that yields pure, nourishing milk. Chapter 16 and now, verse 66.
And indeed for you in grazing livestock is a lesson. We give you drink from what is in their bellies, between excretion and blood, pure milk palatable to drinkers.
Another sign, a deliberate design, is the carefully regulated lifespan and reproductive capacity of each species. Flies, for instance, live only a few weeks yet lay hundreds of eggs. If their lifespan were longer, their population would explode and overwhelm other species. Conversely, animals with long lifespans typically produce only a few offspring, preventing them from dominating the ecosystem. This balance ensures that no species overruns the earth. Such precision cannot be attributed to accident or blind mutation. Nor can evolutionary processes alone account for the perfect equilibrium observed across the natural world. The harmony between lifespan, reproduction, environment, and survival points unmistakably to the wisdom and planning of a creator. Anyone who sincerely reflects on these flawlessly balanced systems and the intricate harmony woven throughout creation will recognize that such perfection cannot arise from chance. The natural world points unmistakably to the existence of one all-powerful creator who designed, sustains, and governs every aspect of the universe. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 20.
And on the earth are signs for those who make sound judgments, rooted in knowledge.
Anyone who examines the human body with sincerity and openness will recognize that its precise structure, the harmony of organs, bones, senses, and internal systems, cannot be the product of accident or blind processes. The human being is a masterpiece of coordination and balance. If even the simplest man-made object requires a designer, a builder, and ongoing maintenance, then it is far more illogical to assume that the human body, with its astonishing physical, mental, and emotional complexity, came into existence and continues to function without a creator and sustainer. Within the body, countless processes operate simultaneously and dependently. The heart beats, the lungs expand, the brain interprets signals, the immune system protects, and the senses gather information, all without conscious effort. These systems must remain in perfect equilibrium for life to continue. A slight disturbance in temperature, blood chemistry, or organ function can lead to illness or even death. This delicate balance is a clear sign that the human being is under constant divine care and supervision. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 21.
And in yourselves, then will you not derive insight?
This verse invites every person to reflect inwardly. The signs of Allah, the Exalted, are not only in the heavens and the earth, they are within one's own body, closer than anything else. Whoever reflects deeply will see evidence of intention, wisdom, and power in every breath they take. The water cycle is yet another profound indication, a deliberate and purposeful design. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 22.
And in the sky is your provision.
Water rises from the oceans through evaporation, ascends into the atmosphere, and then condenses into clouds before returning as rain. This rainwater is naturally acidic, yet when it falls upon mountains, the minerals within them neutralize it, transforming it into water that is safe and beneficial for human beings, animals, and plant life. If this delicate balance were disrupted, the consequences would be catastrophic for all living creatures. The oceans themselves reflect divine wisdom. Their salt content prevents the decay of dead marine organisms from polluting the water. Without this natural purification system, marine life would collapse and the resulting contamination would spread to the land, threatening all forms of life. The chemical composition of seawater is also perfectly calibrated. It supports thriving ecosystems beneath the surface while allowing massive ships to float above it. If this balance were altered even slightly, either ships would sink or marine life would perish. Both outcomes would devastate human civilization. Even today, sea transport remains the primary method for moving goods across the globe, showing how essential this equilibrium is for human survival and economic stability. Rainfall, too, is precisely measured. Insufficient rain leads to drought, famine, and the collapse of agriculture. Excessive rain causes destructive flooding. The fact that rain generally falls in balanced, life-sustaining amounts is a clear sign of the Creator's mercy and control. Chapter 23 Al-Mu'minun, verse 18.
And we have sent down rain from the sky in a measured amount and settled it in the earth. And indeed, we are able to take it away.
Just as the physical body receives its sustenance from the sky in the form of rain, the soul receives its sustenance from the heavens through divine revelation. No matter how advanced a society becomes, and regardless of the knowledge it accumulates in various fields, including its growing understanding of the human mind and body, it remains impossible for humanity to produce a code of conduct that perfectly aligns with human nature and addresses every circumstance, condition, and scenario that individuals or societies may face throughout their time on Earth. Such an endeavor is fundamentally beyond human capacity. Humanity continues to discover new information about even the most basic aspects of its own existence, such as the functions at different regions of the brain. If people are still uncovering the workings of their own bodies, how could they ever possess the insight required to formulate a flawless system that guarantees tranquility and justice on both an individual and societal level? Only Allah, the Exalted, possesses the knowledge and authority to accomplish this. He is the creator of all things, and his knowledge encompasses the entirety of the past, present, and future. He alone is therefore qualified to provide humanity with a code of conduct, a standard that clearly distinguishes good from evil, benefit from harm, and leads to peace of mind rather than a life filled with stress and confusion. History itself testifies to this truth. Whenever divine guidance was implemented sincerely in the lives of individuals and communities, tranquility, justice, and harmony flourished. For this reason, a person must embrace the divine code of conduct revealed to them, recognizing that it is the most beneficial path for their well-being, even when certain teachings conflict with their personal desires. Their attitude should resemble that of a wise patient who accepts the counsel of a knowledgeable physician. Although the prescribed medicine may be bitter and the diet restrictive, the patient follows the treatment because they know it is ultimately in their best interest. In the same way, a person who accepts and acts upon Islamic teachings will attain clarity, balance, and peace, because they are following guidance from the one whose knowledge is perfect and whose wisdom is complete. Just as the sky serves as the source of provision for the earth, sending rain, sustaining crops, and nourishing every living creature without interruption, everything that Allah, the Exalted, decrees from the heavens is certain to come to pass. His promises, His warnings, and His glad tidings are as inevitable and dependable as the rain that descends from above. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verse 22.
And whatever you are promised.
After contemplating the countless systems in creation, each perfectly measured, balanced, and designed for human benefit, any fair-minded person is left with only one reasonable conclusion: the message of Islam is true. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verse 23.
Then by the Lord of the heaven and earth, indeed, it is truth, just as sure as it is that you are speaking.
No matter how advanced human civilization becomes, and regardless of the knowledge it accumulates in fields such as psychology, biology, sociology, or neuroscience, it remains impossible for humanity to produce a code of conduct that fully aligns with human nature and addresses every circumstance individuals and societies will face. Human understanding is always partial and evolving. Even today, with all the progress in science, people continue to discover new aspects of the human mind and body. If humanity cannot fully grasp its own nature, how could it ever design a flawless system that guarantees justice, harmony, and inner peace? Only Allah, the Exalted, can provide such guidance. As the creator of all things, His knowledge encompasses the past, present, and future in their entirety. He alone knows the true needs of human beings, spiritual, emotional, physical, and societal. Therefore, He alone is qualified to reveal a code of conduct that distinguishes good from evil, benefit from harm, and leads to a life of tranquility rather than one filled with confusion and stress. History itself testifies to this truth. Whenever the divine guidance of Islam was implemented sincerely, whether in households, communities, or entire societies, it produced justice, stability, compassion, and peace. Individuals found clarity and purpose, and societies flourished with fairness and dignity. For this reason, people must embrace the divine guidance given to them, recognizing that it is designed for their ultimate well-being, even when certain teachings challenge their personal desires. They should approach divine instruction as a wise patient approaches the advice of a skilled physician, with trust, humility, and the understanding that the treatment, though sometimes difficult, is for their own healing and long-term benefit. Just as a patient accepts bitter medicine or a strict diet because it leads to health, one accepts divine guidance because it leads to success in both worlds. After presenting numerous signs within the universe that affirm His oneness and demonstrate why He alone deserves obedience, Allah, the Exalted, shifts the discussion toward a historical event meant to strengthen hearts and offer encouragement. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 24.
Has there reached you the story of the honored guests of Abraham?
It is crucial to recognize that, unlike other scriptures, whether religious narratives or worldly histories, when Allah, the Exalted, recounts past events, He includes only those details that directly contribute to guidance. Every element serves a purpose, to lead people toward clarity, righteousness, and peace of mind in both worlds. Information that does not support this objective, such as precise dates, geographical specifics, or extended genealogies, is intentionally omitted. This selective precision is one of the miraculous qualities of the Holy Quran. Nothing is excessive, and nothing is missing. Every word is placed with divine wisdom to direct the reader toward what truly matters. This unique style ensures that the believer remains focused on the lessons that cultivate obedience to Allah, the Exalted. When these lessons are internalized and acted upon, they produce a balanced inner state, a healthy outward life, and the correct ordering of priorities, placing everything and everyone in their rightful place. Such alignment naturally leads to tranquility in both worlds. For this reason, a Muslim should devote their attention to the matters explicitly mentioned in the Holy Quran and the authentic traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These are the very matters that will be raised on the Day of Judgment. Pursuing topics outside this framework, especially those that offer no benefit to one's faith or conduct, risks distracting the heart from essential knowledge and necessary action. This principle is reinforced in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 3257, where people are advised to avoid unnecessary questioning and instead focus on fulfilling obligations and refraining from prohibitions. Unfortunately, many individuals, including scholars, have become absorbed in debates over issues that hold no weight in the hereafter. Such preoccupations have contributed to division within the Muslim community, despite the clear command to maintain unity. In this context, Allah, the Exalted, narrates selected moments from the life of the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. The details omitted from the Quranic account are intentionally left out because they do not enhance guidance. The believer is therefore expected to reflect on what is mentioned, rather than chase after what Allah, the Exalted, chose not to include. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 25.
When they entered upon him and said, "We greet you with peace," he answered, "And upon you peace, you are a people unknown."
The first point to observe is the nature of the greeting exchanged between the honored guests and the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. His guests offered a greeting of peace in verb form, which conveys a meaning bound by time. In contrast, the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, responded with a noun form, which carries a sense of permanence and timelessness. In doing so, he perfectly fulfilled the divine instruction to return a greeting with one that is equal or superior. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 86.
And when you are greeted with a greeting, greet in return with one better than it, or at least return it in a like manner. Indeed, Allah is ever over all things an accountant.
The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, reinforced this noble practice. In a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 12, he encouraged believers to spread the greeting of peace not only to those they know, but also to those they do not know. This teaching cultivates openness, humility, and unity within the community. Acting upon this instruction is especially important today, as many Muslims restrict the greeting of peace to familiar faces. The Islamic greeting should be extended to all, for it nurtures affection between hearts and strengthens the bonds of faith. According to a hadith in Sahih Muslim, number 194, this simple act is a pathway to paradise. One must also avoid the habit of merely shaking hands, without offering the verbal greeting of peace. While shaking hands is commendable, the spoken greeting carries greater significance and reward. A Muslim should remember that each greeting of peace earns a minimum of 10 rewards, even if the other person does not respond. This is affirmed in a hadith found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 5195. Such generosity from Allah, the Exalted, should motivate believers to spread peace abundantly. Finally, the greeting of peace must be honored not only in words but also in conduct. A true Muslim is one from whose tongue and hands others are safe. This definition is given in a hadith found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 4998. It is contradictory, and indeed hypocritical, to offer the greeting of peace while harming others through speech or action. Such behavior undermines the very purpose of the greeting, which is to establish safety, goodwill, and harmony. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 26 to 27.
Then he went to his family and came with a fat, roasted calf and placed it near them. He said, "Will you not eat?"
A person is expected to uphold the proper etiquettes of hosting, for hospitality is a noble trait and a reflection of one's faith. The most effective way to fulfill this duty is to treat guests in the same manner one would hope to be treated when visiting others. This principle is not limited to hospitality alone. It is a standard that should guide all aspects of a person's conduct. According to a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 13, this attitude is a sign of true belief. A host should offer whatever food or refreshment is available, without placing undue strain on themselves or their household. They should welcome their guest with respect, warmth, and dignity, while avoiding all forms of sinful behavior, such as gossip, backbiting, or any action that harms others. Hospitality is not merely about providing food. It is about creating an atmosphere of kindness, safety, and good character. Likewise, the guest has responsibilities. They should avoid overstaying, as remaining longer than necessary may cause inconvenience to the host and their family. In modern times, it is easy to communicate beforehand to ensure that visits occur at appropriate and comfortable times. During the visit, the guest must guard their speech and behavior, avoiding sins such as gossip, slander, and idle talk. Instead, they should engage in conversations that are beneficial, discussions that uplift, educate, or remind one of the hereafter, or that contribute positively to worldly matters. Only when both host and guest observe these etiquettes can they hope to attain the rewards promised in the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Neglecting these guidelines may result in the loss of reward, and in some cases, the gathering may even become a source of sin. Sadly, many people enjoy the outward act of hosting or visiting, yet fail to fulfill its essential conditions. They may offer food generously, but fall into harmful speech, or they may enjoy socializing while neglecting the boundaries set by Islam. Such behavior undermines the virtue of hospitality, and deprives individuals of the spiritual benefit that this noble practice is meant to bring. Because angels do not consume food, they naturally refrain from eating the meal placed before them. In certain cultures, refusing food was traditionally interpreted as a sign of hostility or ill intent. For this reason, the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, experienced a natural sense of fear, both for himself and for his wife. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 28.
And he felt from them apprehension.
This incident teaches an important principle. Expressing emotion within reasonable limits is entirely permissible. Human beings are created with the capacity to feel fear, sadness, joy, and concern. The Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, responded in a natural and human way when he perceived potential danger, and Allah the Exalted did not criticize him for it. Emotion, when kept within the boundaries set by divine guidance, is not only acceptable but part of the human experience. No one is expected to behave like a machine during moments of hardship. What is required is balance, allowing oneself to feel and express emotion while avoiding excess. This principle is reinforced in chapter 57 Al-Hadid, verse 23.
In order that you not despair over what has eluded you, and not exult in pride over what he has given you. And Allah does not like everyone self-deluded and boastful.
This verse does not prohibit sadness or happiness. Rather, it warns against extremes, deep despair or uncontrolled joy, as both can push a person toward harmful behavior or spiritual imbalance. A person should always remember that as long as they remain within these boundaries, they will be able to navigate life's challenges with stability and dignity. By maintaining emotional equilibrium and responding to events in a manner pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, they secure reward, inner peace, and blessings in both this world and the next. After reassuring the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, the angels informed him of their mission. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 28.
They said, "Fear not," and gave him good tidings of a learned boy.
It is significant that his wife was elderly and barren, unable to bear children. Yet Allah the Exalted addressed her directly with the good news, acknowledging her pain, her longing, and her personal struggle. Although the glad tidings included her husband as well, the verse highlights her condition and her emotional state. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 29 to 30.
And his wife approached with a cry of alarm and struck her face and said, "I am a barren old woman." They said, "Thus has said your Lord, indeed he is the wise, the knowing."
This moment demonstrates that Allah, the Exalted, is fully aware of the difficulties people endure, even when they themselves may not perceive His acknowledgement. Life in this world is a place of tests, and a person must remain steadfast in obedience to Allah, the Exalted, during hardship, trusting that He only decrees what is ultimately best for them. Even when no one else recognizes their struggle, and even when divine acknowledgement is not immediately apparent, Allah, the Exalted, knows their pain intimately, just as He recognized the hardship of the wife of the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. People naturally feel comfort when others acknowledge their difficulties. How much greater then should their comfort be when they realize that Allah, the Exalted, acknowledges every hardship they face. His knowledge is perfect, His wisdom complete, and His mercy constant. A person who remains patient, avoiding complaints through speech or action, and continues to obey Allah, the Exalted, by using His blessings correctly, will attain peace of mind in both worlds. They will achieve a balanced emotional and physical state, and they will place everything and everyone in their proper place within their life. Even if difficulties persist, their inner tranquility will remain, because it is rooted in trust, patience, and divine acknowledgement. As the Holy Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was perceptive and discerning, he understood that the angels had come with a purpose beyond delivering the glad tidings of a child. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 31.
Abraham said, "Then what is your business here, O messengers?"
In general, it is important for a person to remain observant in their daily life, and avoid becoming so absorbed in worldly matters that they grow heedless of what is happening around them or of the lessons contained in past events. This attentiveness is a valuable quality, for it strengthens one's faith and helps a person remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, at all times. Such mindfulness includes using the blessings one has been granted in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as taught in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. For example, when a person sees someone who is ill, they should not only assist them in whatever way they can, even if only through supplication, but also reflect on their own health. They should recognize that they too will one day lose their strength, whether through illness, aging, or death. This reflection should inspire gratitude for their current well-being, and motivate them to use their health in both worldly and spiritual pursuits that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Similarly, when a person witnesses the death of someone wealthy, they should not only feel compassion for the deceased and their family, but also reflect on their own mortality. They should realize that a day will come, unknown to them, when they too will depart this world. Just as the wealthy individual was separated from their possessions, fame, and loved ones at the grave, so will every person be left alone with only their deeds. This awareness encourages preparation for the grave and the hereafter. Those who live with this level of awareness strengthen their faith daily. In contrast, those who remain absorbed in worldly distractions become heedless, which prevents them from improving their conduct toward Allah, the Exalted, and toward His creation. Allah, the Exalted, then briefly refers to the people of the Holy Prophet Lut, peace be upon him, a community that persisted in disobedience, and he contrasts their fate with the outcome of those among them who remained obedient. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 32 to 36.
They said, Indeed, we have been sent to a people of criminals, to send down upon them stones of clay, marked in the presence of your Lord for the transgressors. So we brought out whoever was in the cities of the believers, and we found not within them other than a single house of Muslims.
These verses highlight the profound difference between two groups of people. On one side are those who persist in disobeying Allah, the Exalted, by misusing the blessings He has granted them. Such individuals inevitably fall into an unbalanced mental and physical state, and they misplace everything and everyone within their lives. Their priorities become distorted, their relationships suffer, and their inner world becomes unsettled. On the other side are those who obey Allah, the Exalted. Through their obedience, they attain peace of mind in both worlds. They achieve a balanced emotional and physical state, and they correctly place everything and everyone in their life according to the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. Their worldview becomes ordered, their relationships grounded, and their inner state tranquil. The contrast presented in these verses is not merely historical, it is a timeless reminder. A person's relationship with divine guidance shapes their entire existence. Obedience brings clarity, stability, and harmony, while persistent disobedience leads to confusion, imbalance, and loss. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 37.
And we left therein a sign for those who fear the painful punishment.
This verse serves as a profound caution against a self-absorbed lifestyle, where an individual's focus remains restricted to personal affairs while overlooking broader realities. As discussed earlier, such a limited perspective prevents the heart from perceiving the profound wisdom available through historical events, personal challenges, and the diverse journeys of others. Engaging with these external lessons serves as an effective method for refining one's character, preventing the repetition of errors, and attaining enduring inner peace by establishing a harmonious mental and physical state, and assigning the correct value to every person and circumstance within a life. For instance, observing those with significant wealth or fame who misuse their blessings, only to face anxiety, depression, or addiction, demonstrates that true tranquility is not a commodity bought with riches or secured by indulgence. Similarly, noticing the struggles of those facing illness should inspire a deep sense of gratitude for one's own health, encouraging its purposeful use while it remains. Islam encourages individuals to maintain a state of mindfulness and reflection, urging them to look beyond the narrow scope of their immediate circumstances, to extract meaningful wisdom from the world at large. After outlining the contrasting outcomes of those who obeyed and those who disobeyed in the accounts of the holy prophets Ibrahim and Lut, peace be upon them, Allah, the Exalted, presents yet another historical example to reinforce this distinction. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 38.
And in Moses was a sign, when we sent him to Pharaoh with clear authority.
In truth, every person who abandons the divine code of conduct revealed by Allah, the Exalted, and instead embraces man-made systems, does so in pursuit of worldly desires. Human-devised codes are inevitably shaped by human inclinations, ambitions, and self-interest. Unlike divine law, rooted in wisdom, justice, and mercy, man-made systems reflect the desires of those who formulate them. The wealthy and influential are often the most resistant to divine guidance. They recognize that accepting the truth would require them to submit to a higher moral authority, one that restricts their exploitation of others, curbs their indulgence in excess, and places limits on their misuse of power. Fearing the loss of their privileges, they not only reject the truth themselves but also encourage others to follow their path, attempting to preserve their worldly status even at the cost of their eternal well-being. This pattern is not unique to Pharaoh. Throughout history, the first to oppose the holy prophets, peace be upon them, were frequently the elites of society, those whose power and influence were threatened by the justice and accountability inherent in divine guidance. Their rejection was never due to a lack of evidence. The signs of Allah, the Exalted, were clear and undeniable. Instead, their opposition arose from arrogance, pride, and an unwillingness to restrain their desires. Thus, the rejection of divine guidance is rarely an intellectual disagreement about truth. It is more often a spiritual and moral refusal, a resistance of the heart to submit to the authority of the Creator. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 39.
But he turned away with his supporters and said, "A magician or a madman."
Pharaoh's dismissal was not based on reason but on pride. By labeling the Holy Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, with false accusations, he attempted to undermine the truth and maintain his grip on power. In addition, verse 39 serves as a warning against adopting the behavior of Pharaoh's followers, who blindly obeyed him simply because his position and influence represented the majority view within their society. A person must avoid following others without thought or reflection, for the behavior of the majority often leads to disobedience of Allah, the Exalted. When someone observes most people disregarding divine guidance, they may assume that the majority must be correct and, as a result, imitate them uncritically. In reality, the majority opinion is not always aligned with truth. History repeatedly demonstrates how widely accepted beliefs were later proven false when new evidence emerged, such as the once popular but incorrect belief that the earth was flat. Blind conformity is therefore dangerous. A person who follows the crowd without reflection behaves like cattle, moving wherever the herd moves, even if it leads to harm. Such unthinking imitation results in poor decisions in both worldly and spiritual matters. Chapter 6 Al-An'am, verse 116.
And if you obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. They follow not except assumption, and they are not but guessing.
Instead of surrendering their intellect to the majority, individuals should use the reasoning and understanding granted to them by Allah, the Exalted. They should evaluate each situation based on knowledge, evidence, and sound judgment, even if their conclusions differ from the prevailing views of society. This approach leads to clarity, stability, and righteousness. For this reason, Islam strongly criticizes blind imitation in religious matters. It encourages a person to learn, reflect, and act upon divine teachings with understanding. Only through thoughtful engagement with revelation can a person avoid the pitfalls of unthinking conformity and remain steadfast upon the path of truth. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, "This is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me."
When a person fails to use their own reasoning and common sense to evaluate situations with an open mind, and instead blindly follows the opinions and behaviors of others, they inevitably misuse the blessings they have been granted. Such an attitude prevents them from achieving a balanced mental and physical state, and it causes them to misplace everything and everyone within their life. As a result, the very things that should bring comfort, family, friends, career, and wealth, become sources of stress and turmoil. If a person persists in disobeying Allah, the Exalted, they begin to blame the wrong people and circumstances for their distress. They may even direct their frustration toward those who genuinely care for them, such as their spouse or close relatives. Cutting these good individuals out of their lives only deepens their instability, pushing them further into emotional and psychological imbalance. Over time, this can lead to depression, substance dependence, and even suicidal tendencies. This pattern is clearly visible when observing those who continually misuse the blessings they possess, such as the rich and famous, despite enjoying worldly luxuries. Their external success does not shield them from inner turmoil, because their priorities and actions are misaligned with the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. Moreover, their heedlessness prevents them from preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. The consequences they face in the hereafter will therefore be far more severe. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verse 40.
So we took him and his soldiers and cast them into the sea, and he was blameworthy.
Pharaoh's downfall was not merely a historical event, it is a timeless warning. Those who misuse their blessings, reject guidance, and persist in arrogance, ultimately harm themselves in this world, and face an even harsher outcome in the next. After briefly recounting the story of the Holy Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, Allah the Exalted turns to other past nations who persisted in disobedience. Their stories are mentioned concisely, yet powerfully, to warn people not to repeat their mistakes. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verses 41 to 46.
And in Adh was a sign when we sent against them the barren wind. It left nothing of what it came upon, but that it made it like disintegrated ruins. And in Thamud, when it was said to them, "Enjoy yourselves for a time." But they were insolent toward the command of their Lord, So the thunderbolt seized them while they were looking on. And they were unable to arise, nor could they defend themselves. And we destroyed the people of Noah before. Indeed, they were a people defiantly disobedient.
These verses present a sequence of historical warnings. Each nation mentioned, Ad, Thamud, and the people of the Holy Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him, was granted ample time, clear signs, and abundant blessings. Yet each chose to persist in arrogance, misuse their blessings, and reject the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. The message is timeless. Those who follow the path of past transgressors will face similar outcomes, whether in the form of societal collapse, inner turmoil, or ultimate accountability in the hereafter. And those who heed the warnings, reflect on these examples, and align themselves with divine guidance will find stability, clarity, and peace. After urging people to adopt the correct path by reflecting on the fate of past nations, Allah, the Exalted, returns to the signs embedded within creation, signs that guide a person toward the right way of life. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 47.
And the heaven we constructed with strength.
Even when constructing a simple building, one must carefully position supporting structures, such as pillars, beams, and foundations, to ensure stability and safety. A builder does not simply gather materials and hope they fall into place. Instead, they measure, calculate, and plan every detail. The weight each pillar must bear, the distribution of pressure, the alignment of walls, and the durability of the materials. Without this deliberate design, even a small structure would collapse under its own weight. No rational person would attribute a well-built home, bridge, or tower to coincidence or random assembly. If such meticulous thought is required for something as modest and limited as a human-made building, how could anyone reasonably believe that the vast heavens and the expansive earth, far more complex, balanced, and magnificent, came into existence by accident? The universe is not a simple structure. It is an intricate system composed of galaxies, stars, planets, ecosystems, and laws of physics that operate with astonishing precision. If its creation were accidental, we would expect to see chaos, instability, and structural weakness. Instead, what we observe is the opposite, a universe that is finely tuned, harmonious, and perfectly calibrated to sustain life. The movement of celestial bodies follows precise patterns. The alternation of night and day occurs with flawless regularity. The Earth's distance from the Sun, its tilt, its atmosphere, and its gravitational balance all operate within exact parameters necessary for life. Even the smallest components of creation, atoms, cells, and ecosystems, display order and purpose. Such consistency cannot emerge from randomness. It points unmistakably to deliberate planning and intentional design by the Creator, Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 13, Ar-Ra'd, verse 2.
It is Allah who erected the heavens without pillars that you can see.
This verse highlights both the majesty and the subtlety of divine craftsmanship. The heavens stand without visible supports, yet they remain stable, expansive, and perfectly balanced. Their unseen pillars are the laws and forces Allah, the Exalted, has placed within creation: gravity, motion, and the precise interactions of matter and energy. These invisible supports maintain the structure of the universe, with a reliability that human engineering could never replicate. The flawless stability of the heavens is a sign for anyone willing to reflect. It reminds the thoughtful observer that creation is not the product of chance, but a divine wisdom, power, and intentional design. Every aspect of the universe, its vastness, its order, its beauty, testifies to the Creator who fashioned it with strength, precision, and purpose. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 47.
And the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed we are its expander.
This statement is remarkable, for it was revealed centuries before humanity discovered that the universe is continuously expanding. Modern scientific observations, such as the redshift of distant galaxies, confirm that space itself is stretching outward. Yet this knowledge was entirely unknown to people at the time of revelation. The verse therefore stands as a profound indication of divine knowledge, revealing a truth about the cosmos long before human beings possessed the tools or understanding to uncover it. The expansion of the universe is not random or chaotic. It follows precise laws and patterns. This ongoing expansion further reinforces the idea that creation is governed by deliberate design rather than coincidence. The one who brought the heavens into existence with strength is the same one who sustains and expands them with perfect control. For the reflective person, this verse serves as both a sign and an invitation, a sign of the Creator's limitless power, and an invitation to recognize His wisdom through the observable realities of the universe. The structure of the earth has been arranged with remarkable balance and purpose. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 48.
And the earth we have spread out.
Its surface is firm enough to support buildings, roads, and entire cities, yet fertile enough to sustain agriculture and provide food for humanity. When one surveys the planet's diverse landscapes, a striking pattern emerges. Although there are regions of extreme altitude where oxygen is scarce and living conditions are harsh, the overwhelming majority of the Earth's surface lies at elevations ideal for human life. This is a profound mercy, for it allows people to live, travel, cultivate, and build with ease. Likewise, while certain areas of the world are naturally difficult to reach due to mountains, dense forests, or rugged terrain, these regions are relatively few. Most of the earth has been fashioned in a way that enables people to move across it, settle upon it, and benefit from its resources. This accessibility is not accidental. It reflects deliberate preparation and thoughtful design. The distribution of essential resources further reinforces this truth. The earth has been arranged so that the necessities of life, such as water, fertile soil, sunlight, and basic minerals, are widely available. The more vital a resource is for human survival, the more accessible it tends to be. Water is found across the globe in rivers, lakes, rainfall, and underground reservoirs. Oxygen fills the atmosphere in abundance. Fertile land is spread across continents, enabling agriculture in countless regions. These provisions are far too precise and widespread to be the result of chance. Every one of these features, the Earth's stability, its accessible terrain, its balanced altitudes, and its generous distribution of essential resources, points unmistakably to intentional creation. They reflect wisdom, order, and purpose far beyond what randomness could ever produce. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 48.
And excellent is the preparer.
Within creation, one observes a consistent pattern. Things are brought into existence as pairs or with shared characteristics. This universal pairing, male and female, night and day, land and sea, positive and negative, matter and antimatter, serves as a profound reminder of the absolute oneness of Allah, the Exalted. Everything in creation is defined by complementarity, dependence, and balance. Only the Creator stands entirely independent, incomparable, and without equal. Nothing resembles Him, and nothing can be placed beside Him. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 49.
And of all things we created two mates, perhaps you will remember.
Another dimension of divine planning is the continuation of humanity through the birth of successive generations until the appointed end of time. Allah, the Exalted, in His perfect wisdom, placed within human beings natural inclinations and desires that draw them toward the opposite gender. These feelings serve two profound purposes. They bring comfort, companionship, and emotional fulfillment, and they ensure the survival of the human race by encouraging marriage and procreation. Without these innate inclinations, most people would not pursue family life, and humanity would diminish long before its destined conclusion. Chapter 30, Rum, verse 21.
And of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you love and mercy.
This verse reveals the deep wisdom behind human relationships. In youth, individuals are drawn to one another through love, attraction, and emotional longing. These feelings encourage the formation of families and the birth of children, thereby ensuring the continuation of human life. As couples grow older, physical beauty naturally fades, and the bond between them transforms. Mercy becomes the dominant force, expressed through patience, loyalty, care, and mutual support. This shift is not accidental. It is a deliberate aspect, a divine planning, that sustains companionship throughout the stages of life and preserves stability within the family. Such a progression cannot be fully explained by human theories such as evolution, which focus narrowly on physical survival and reproduction. Evolutionary frameworks may account for biological reproduction, but they cannot explain the enduring emotional bonds that keep families intact, even when reproduction is no longer possible. The divine placement of love and mercy elevates companionship beyond mere survival. It becomes a source of tranquility, moral refinement, and spiritual growth. Through this bond, individuals learn patience, sacrifice, and selflessness, qualities that strengthen not only the family but also the wider society. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 49.
Perhaps you will remember.
This brief yet powerful statement calls people to reflect on the wisdom embedded within their own nature. The presence of love in youth and mercy in old age is purposeful, guiding couples to remain united throughout their lives. It is a sign for those who think deeply, reminding them that every stage of human existence has been arranged with precision by the Creator. The family unit, established through love and sustained by mercy, is not merely a social structure but a spiritual institution designed to cultivate gratitude, character, and faith. Through this divine arrangement, humanity continues until its appointed end, while individuals enjoy the blessings of companionship, affection, and mutual care. These signs should inspire reflection and humility, for they reveal the perfection of Allah's design and the futility of denying His wisdom. The bond between spouses is therefore not only a worldly partnership, but a spiritual connection intended to nurture tranquility, patience, and mercy. It stands as a reminder that every phase of human life unfolds under divine guidance, and that the preservation of the family is central to the flourishing of humanity. In conclusion, the placement of love and mercy within human relationships is a clear sign of the foresight and compassion of Allah, the Exalted. It ensures the continuation of the human race, provides emotional and spiritual fulfillment, and cultivates virtues that elevate individuals and communities. Those who reflect upon this sign will recognize the perfection of divine planning and will be moved to live with gratitude, obedience, and humility, using their relationships as a means to draw closer to Allah, the Exalted, and to prepare for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 50.
So flee to Allah. Indeed, I am to you from Him a clear warner.
It is important to recognize that glad tidings and warnings yield benefit only when they are met with practical response. Accordingly, the one who responds through action, by using the blessings granted by Allah, the Exalted, in the manner prescribed by Islamic teachings, attains peace of mind in both worlds. This is achieved through the development of a balanced mental and physical state, and by placing every matter and relationship within life in its proper order. In contrast, the one who fails to respond practically to the warnings and glad tidings conveyed in Islamic teachings continues to misuse the blessings bestowed upon them. As a consequence, such a person falls into mental and physical imbalance, is unable to organize life according to its rightful priorities, and neglects adequate preparation for accountability on the Day of Judgment. The inevitable result is stress, hardship, and inner turmoil in both worlds, even if outwardly they appear to enjoy certain worldly comforts and luxuries. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 51.
And do not make as equal with Allah another deity. Indeed, I am to you from Him a clear warner.
A person must recognize that false gods are not limited to carved idols or ancient deities. Anything that a person chooses to obey in defiance of Allah, the Exalted, becomes, practically speaking, the object of their devotion. This may include social trends, cultural expectations, influential personalities, or even the pressure to conform. Chapter 9 at Tawbah, verse 31.
They have taken their scholars and monks as lords besides Allah.
The scholars and religious figures of earlier communities were not worshipped through rituals or prostration. Rather, people followed their rulings even when those rulings contradicted divine revelation. This misplaced obedience was regarded as a form of worship because it elevated human authority above the command of Allah, the Exalted. The same principle is applied to the devil. Chapter 36 Yasin, verse 60.
Did I not enjoin upon you, O children of Adam, that you not worship Satan, for indeed he is to you a clear enemy?
Most people do not consciously worship the devil, yet they are described as doing so because they follow his suggestions instead of divine guidance. This shows that worship is not limited to outward rituals. It includes obedience, loyalty, and submission of the heart. When a person repeatedly turns away from the commands of Allah, the Exalted, they inevitably fall under the influence of other forces, whether people, trends, social media, cultural norms, or workplace pressures. Trying to satisfy these competing influences becomes overwhelming, because they are inconsistent, demanding, and often contradictory. Just as an employee with several supervisors struggles to meet conflicting expectations, a person who abandons servitude to Allah, the Exalted, becomes pulled in many directions at once. This inner conflict destroys tranquility. Over time, such individuals may experience emotional strain, loneliness, and a sense of emptiness, because their efforts to please worldly influences never bring lasting fulfillment. This pattern is visible in many who chase public approval, such as celebrities, yet remain unsettled despite their wealth and fame. Their masters offer no stability, compassion, or lasting satisfaction. Furthermore, those influences that a person obeyed in defiance of Allah, the Exalted, will be of no benefit on the Day of Judgment. They will not defend, support, or intercede for anyone. A person will stand alone with their deeds, and the things they once followed will abandon them completely. To avoid this outcome, a person must distance themselves from any obedience that leads to the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted. Instead, they should use the blessings they have been granted in accordance with divine guidance. By doing so, they achieve peace of mind in both worlds. They gain emotional and physical balance, and they place everything and everyone in their proper place within their life. True tranquility comes only from serving Allah, the Exalted, for He alone provides stability, clarity, and lasting contentment. When a person chooses a path that differs from that of their peers, it often unsettles those around them. This is especially true when others have built their lives around personal desires, rather than the teachings of Allah, the Exalted. The presence of someone who lives with discipline and purpose can expose the shortcomings of their own choices, leading to feelings of discomfort or inadequacy. As a result, criticism is frequently directed at those who remain steadfast in their faith, sometimes even from their own family members. In addition to this interpersonal pressure, broader societal forces also weigh heavily on those who uphold Islamic values. Social media, fashion trends, and cultural expectations often promote lifestyles that conflict with divine guidance. Many view the principles of Islam as barriers to their pursuit of wealth, status, or influence. Industries that Islam critiques, whether due to unethical practices, exploitation, or moral corruption, naturally resist the presence of Islamic teachings. This resistance fuels the widespread anti-Islamic sentiment visible across various platforms, particularly online. Those who strive to live according to Islamic teachings, which call for moderation, self-restraint, and responsible enjoyment of blessings, often face hostility from individuals who indulge in excess. Such individuals act on impulse without boundaries, a behavior that Islamic teachings liken to the instincts of animals. They frequently attempt to dissuade others from embracing Islam or discourage Muslims from practicing their faith, inviting them instead into a lifestyle driven by unchecked desires. One of their common tactics is to attack specific aspects of Islam, such as the dress code for women, in an attempt to undermine its appeal. However, anyone who reflects carefully can see the superficiality of these criticisms. Their objections stem not from genuine concern, but from a deep discomfort with Islam's emphasis on self-discipline. For example, they may object loudly to the Islamic dress code, yet they remain silent regarding the strict dress requirements in professions such as law enforcement, the military, healthcare, education, and business. This selective outrage exposes the weakness of their arguments. Ultimately, it is the moral clarity and disciplined conduct encouraged by Islam that provokes such hostility, leading critics to attack the religion in whatever way they can. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 52 to 53.
Similarly, there came not to those before them any messenger except that they said, a magician or a madman. Did they suggest it to them? Rather, they themselves are a transgressing people.
In every situation, a person must remain firmly committed to the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted. Such devotion brings serenity and shields them from the harmful influence of others, even if this protection is not immediately apparent. Through loyalty to Allah, the Exalted, a person learns to use their blessings correctly, achieving a balanced mental and physical state. This balance enables them to place everything and everyone in their proper position, while also preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. As a result, they experience tranquility in both worlds. They are guided through ease and hardship alike, and their peace of mind grows as they receive abundant rewards in this life and the next. Conversely, when a person abandons the commands of Allah, the Exalted, in pursuit of the approval of others, they inevitably lose their inner peace. Their blessings become misused, and their life falls into disorder. They misplace priorities, relationships, and responsibilities, leaving themselves unprepared for the Day of Judgment. This leads to stress, confusion, and hardship in both worlds, regardless of the material comforts they may possess. To maintain a resolute mindset, a person must cultivate strong faith. Such faith is essential for remaining obedient to Allah, the Exalted, in all circumstances, whether in moments of ease or difficulty. This strength of faith is developed by understanding and applying the clear signs and teachings found in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These teachings make it evident that true obedience to Allah, the Exalted, brings tranquility in this life and the hereafter. Those who lack knowledge of Islamic principles often possess a fragile faith. They are easily swayed when their desires conflict with divine guidance, and they struggle to recognize that surrendering their impulses is necessary for attaining peace in both worlds. For this reason, it is vital for individuals to strengthen their faith through seeking Islamic knowledge and putting it into practice. By doing so, they remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, and use their blessings in accordance with His teachings. This leads to a balanced mental and physical state, and enables them to prioritize every aspect of their life correctly. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, would often feel deep sorrow when people turned away from the guidance of Islam or neglected the path that leads to salvation. His compassion for humanity was immense, and his desire for their well-being extended beyond this world into the next. Yet Allah, the Exalted, repeatedly reminded him that his mission was not to compel belief, nor to grieve excessively over the choices people made. His duty was to convey the message with clarity, to embody its teachings perfectly, and to entrust the final outcome to Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verses 54 to 55.
So leave them, for you are not to be blamed. And remind, for indeed, the reminder benefits the believers.
And chapter 88, Al-Ghashiyah, verses 21 to 22.
So remind, you are only a reminder. You are not over them, a controller.
These verses offer timeless instruction for all who invite others to righteousness. They establish that the role of the caller is not to enforce belief, but to present the truth with sincerity, wisdom, and compassion. Guidance is ultimately in the hands of Allah, the Exalted, who opens hearts according to His perfect knowledge and justice. This understanding liberates the caller from frustration when their efforts appear fruitless, and from sorrow when people reject the truth. It teaches that success is not measured by numbers, popularity, or outward results, but by integrity, patience, and steadfastness in fulfilling one's duty. Those who sincerely seek guidance will recognize the truth when it reaches them, while those who remain arrogant or heedless only harm themselves. They understand that Allah, the Exalted, never burdens a soul beyond its capacity. Every challenge encountered in calling to truth is an opportunity to grow in patience, discipline, and reliance upon Allah, the Exalted. Peace, both in this world and the next, requires sacrifice, self-restraint, and mastery over one's lower desires. True contentment does not lie in wealth, status, or fame, for these are fleeting and often leave the heart empty. Real tranquility is found in submission to Allah, the Exalted. This truth becomes evident when one observes individuals who possess every worldly advantage, yet remain restless and dissatisfied. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 55.
And remind, for indeed, the reminder benefits the believers.
For those who call others to the truth, the focus must remain on fulfilling their responsibility, living by the teachings of Islam, conveying the message with compassion, and leaving the results to Allah, the Exalted. Success lies in obedience, sincerity, and perseverance, not in compelling others or seeking worldly recognition. When this perspective is embraced, anxiety transforms into trust, impatience into perseverance, and hope into reliance upon the mercy and justice of Allah, the Exalted. In this way, the caller becomes a living embodiment of faith, demonstrating through their conduct that guidance is a divine gift. Human responsibility is simply to deliver the message faithfully, while accountability for acceptance or rejection rests with Allah the Exalted alone. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 55.
And remind, for indeed, the reminder benefits the believers.
In this verse, divine revelation is described as a reminder, an apt description, for the teachings of Islam function as a reminder to all people. They do not introduce something foreign to human nature. Rather, they call individuals back to the innate disposition upon which Allah, the Exalted, has created humanity. Any system of conduct that conflicts with this natural disposition inevitably feels forced and unnatural. When people attempt to live by such systems, they often experience inattention, emotional instability, and a sense of disconnection, because these systems impose expectations that do not align with the human soul. Islam, by contrast, is divinely designed to correspond perfectly with the essence of human nature. Its teachings feel familiar, even to those encountering them for the first time, because they resonate with the deepest layers of the human heart. This is especially evident among those who embrace Islam, after living according to other religions or philosophies. Many converts describe an immediate sense of recognition, as though they are not learning something new, but rediscovering a truth that had always been within them. This is because Islam does not reshape human beings into something artificial. It restores them to the natural state intended by Allah the Exalted. Other systems, however, often impose frameworks that are disconnected from human nature. They may demand behaviors that conflict with innate moral intuition, or encourage lifestyles that lead to imbalance and dissatisfaction. Such systems can produce confusion, restlessness, and emotional strain, because they pull individuals away from their true purpose. Yet this reality is not always immediately apparent. A person must approach Islamic teachings with sincerity and openness to perceive the harmony between revelation and human nature. Prejudice, arrogance, or blind loyalty to inherited customs can cloud the heart, preventing it from recognizing the truth. But when approached without bias, divine guidance reveals itself not as a burden or a restriction, but as a source of clarity and restoration. It brings the human being back into alignment with their natural state, cultivating tranquility and directing them toward their true purpose. In this sense, revelation functions both as a mirror and a compass. It is a mirror that reflects the innate truth already present within the human soul, reminding individuals of who they truly are. And it is a compass that guides them toward peace of mind in both worlds, by helping them achieve a balanced mental and physical state, and by enabling them to place everything and everyone in their proper position within their life. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 56.
And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me.
It is universally understood that when an invention fails to fulfill the very purpose for which it was created, it is considered unsuccessful, no matter how many impressive features it may possess. A phone may boast an exceptional camera, a sleek design, and advanced technology, yet if it cannot perform its primary function, making calls, it is deemed defective. Its secondary qualities cannot compensate for its failure to achieve its essential purpose. Human beings are no different. We are the creation of Allah, the Exalted, brought into existence with a clear and defined purpose. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 56.
And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me.
The purpose of humanity is to worship Allah, the Exalted, that is, to obey Him sincerely. This obedience includes fulfilling His commands, avoiding His prohibitions, and meeting the challenges of destiny with patience, following the example of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. When a person lives in this manner, they use every blessing they have been granted in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. However, when a person neglects this purpose, their life becomes hollow and directionless, even if they achieve great worldly success. This reality is visible throughout society. Many who possess wealth, fame, and influence are among the most anxious, stressed, and emotionally unstable. Their achievements do not shield them from depression, addiction, or despair. This is because they have failed to fulfill the purpose for which they were created, leading them to misuse the blessings Allah, the Exalted, has given them. Chapter 20, Taha, verses 124 to 126.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e., difficult life, and we will gather, i.e., raise him on the day of resurrection blind. He will say, My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing? Allah will say, Thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot, i.e., disregarded them, and thus will you this day be forgotten.
A person must not deceive themselves into believing they live a meaningful life, simply because they carry out a few outward acts of worship. One's true purpose extends far beyond a limited set of rituals. It encompasses every breath and every aspect of one's existence: financial dealings, private behavior, social interactions, work, family life, and personal habits. Someone who fulfills only the external requirements, while neglecting the deeper purpose of sincere obedience, resembles a beautifully crafted vase that is empty within. It may appear complete from the outside, yet it lacks substance at its core. This is why many people who perform basic religious duties still experience stress, confusion, and emotional turmoil. They have not realized that their purpose permeates their entire life, not just a few moments of the day or a few days of the year. One of the main reasons this truth is overlooked is blind imitation. Many people uncritically follow society, fashion, culture, and social media. When a person fails to use their intellect, they begin to assume that meaning is found in wealth, careers, friendships, or family alone. They behave like cattle, following the herd without reflection. Instead, a person must learn from Islamic teachings and observe the consequences of the choices made by others. When they reflect with clarity, they will recognize that true meaning does not lie in worldly pursuits. It lies in fulfilling the purpose of creation, just as an invention gains value only when it fulfills the function for which it was designed. Failing to recognize this is one of humanity's greatest tragedies. Every person must therefore strive to fulfill their purpose of creation by using the blessings they have been granted in ways that please Allah, the Exalted, as taught in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Only this path leads to a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and peaceful in both worlds. Chapter 13 Ar-Ra'd, verse 28.
Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace.
And chapter 16 and now, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
After declaring that the purpose of humanity is to obey Him, Allah, the Exalted, clarifies that a person's obedience or disobedience does not benefit or harm him in the slightest. He is entirely independent of his creation. Chapter 51 Adh Dhariyat, verses 57 to 58.
I do not want from them any provision, nor do I want them to feed me. Indeed, it is Allah who is the continual provider, the firm possessor of strength.
A person who fails to understand this truth may fall into arrogance, imagining that they are doing Allah, the Exalted, a favor by obeying Him. Such a mindset corrupts sincerity and weakens obedience, especially when personal desires conflict with divine commands. This arrogance becomes a barrier that diverts a person from the straight path. In contrast, those who recognize that faith and obedience ultimately benefit themselves cultivate humility before Allah, the Exalted. They remain steadfast in their devotion during both hardship and ease. In difficult moments, they respond with patience, trusting that Allah, the Exalted, always chooses what is best for them, even when the wisdom is not immediately apparent. In times of comfort, they express gratitude by intending only to please Allah, by speaking with goodness or choosing silence when silence is better, and by using every blessing in accordance with the Holy Quran and the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Patience, likewise, requires refraining from complaints in both words and actions while continuing to obey Allah, the Exalted, with full trust in His decree. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
A person who consistently embodies this balanced conduct, gratitude in ease and patience in hardship, receives continuous support, mercy, and protection from Allah, the Exalted. This divine care produces tranquility in both worlds. It grants a balanced mental and physical state, and enables a person to place everything and everyone in their proper position within their life. This reality is beautifully illustrated in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500. Because fulfilling one's purpose, obedience to Allah, the Exalted, often conflicts with worldly desires and ambitions, many people choose to persist in disobedience. They follow the same path as those who came before them, and therefore they will inevitably face similar consequences. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 59.
And indeed, for those who have wronged is a portion of punishment like the portion of their predecessors, so let them not impatiently urge me.
A person who misuses the blessings they have been granted should not deceive themselves into thinking that the absence of immediate punishment means they are safe. Punishment may already be unfolding in ways they fail to recognize. Their attitude alone, misusing blessings and ignoring divine guidance, prevents them from achieving a balanced mental and physical state. It causes them to misplace priorities, relationships, and responsibilities. As a result, every aspect of their life, family, friendships, career, and wealth, becomes a source of stress rather than comfort. If they continue in disobedience, they begin blaming the wrong people and circumstances for their distress. They may even blame their spouse or loved ones, cutting good people out of their lives in the belief that doing so will bring relief. Instead, this only deepens their instability, pushing them further into emotional turmoil. Over time, this downward spiral can lead to depression, substance abuse, and even suicidal thoughts. This pattern is clearly visible in those who persistently misuse their blessings, such as many among the wealthy and famous, despite enjoying every worldly luxury. Their refusal to correct their course also prevents them from preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. As a result, the punishment awaiting them in the hereafter will be far more severe. Chapter 51, Adh Dhariyat, verse 60.
And woe to those who have disbelieved from their day which they are promised.
This verse serves as a stark reminder that worldly comfort does not indicate divine approval, nor does the absence of immediate hardship mean one is safe from consequences. True success lies in fulfilling one's purpose, using blessings correctly, and preparing for the day when every soul will be held accountable. A person must therefore embrace and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when those teachings challenge their personal desires. Their attitude should resemble that of a wise patient who follows the guidance of a skilled doctor. Although the prescribed medicine may be bitter and the diet restrictive, the patient accepts them because they know such treatment leads to healing and long-term well-being. In the same way, a person who accepts and implements Islamic teachings will attain soundness in both their mental and physical states. This is because only Allah, the Exalted, possesses the complete knowledge required to guide a person toward true balance and to help them place everything and everyone in their proper position within their life. Human knowledge, no matter how extensive, remains limited. Society's understanding of the human mind and body, despite decades of research, can never address every challenge a person may face. It cannot shield them from all forms of stress, nor can it provide a flawless framework for organizing priorities and relationships. Human advice is inevitably shaped by restricted experience, limited foresight, and personal biases. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses perfect knowledge, and He has conveyed this knowledge to humanity through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The truth of this becomes evident when one compares the lives of those who use their blessings according to Islamic teachings with those who do not. The difference in clarity, stability, and inner peace is unmistakable. Interestingly, most patients do not understand the scientific details behind the medicines they take, yet they trust their doctor without hesitation. Allah, the Exalted, does not ask people to follow Islam blindly. Instead, He invites them to reflect, to observe, and to recognize the truth of His guidance through clear proofs and tangible effects. He calls people to approach revelation with an open and unbiased mind, so they may appreciate how it restores balance and brings tranquility. Chapter 12, Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
Furthermore, Allah, the Exalted, alone governs the spiritual heart, the true seat of peace and contentment. He alone grants or withholds tranquility. chapter 53 and name, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
It is therefore clear that peace of mind is not achieved through worldly means alone. It is a gift from Allah, the Exalted, granted to those who use their blessings in the manner He has prescribed. Only those who align their lives with Islamic teachings will experience the deep and lasting tranquility that comes from fulfilling their purpose and living in harmony with divine guidance. Chapter 16 and now, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.